Welcome to Seltzer Squad, the podcast about staying sober in the city, with your hosts, Kate Zander and Jess Valentine.
Hey, Kate, how can people get more Seltzer Squad in their lives?
We have finally launched our Seltzer Squad Patreon, where you'll be able to get early access to episodes on Wednesdays instead of Fridays, our monthly bonus episode. And if you really love us and you're the slickest bitch around, you will also be able to see video podcast recordings.
I mean, who doesn't want that? Who doesn't want more Kate and Jess in their lives?
But in all seriousness, it really does help us move the podcast forward.
Yes. Subscribe at patreon.com/Seltzer Squad and help us keep this pod going.
Hey, Nat, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Squad, I had Nat come to help me to talk about our new sponsor, Brainwashed Coffee. The mission of Brainwashed Coffee is to offer support to those struggling with addiction and inspire others to join the fight.
Sounds awesome.
They donate 50% of all the proceeds to addiction recovery. On their site, they're also extending a discount to the Seltzer Squad listeners of 20%. I am trying out the Guatemala Ethiopia blend and the Colombian decaf because I'm a half calf type of girl, and I can't wait to use my Brainwashed Coffee to start making lattes. So order yourself some Brainwashed Coffee. It's brainwashedcoffeeco.com. Use code Seltzer Squad for 20% off at checkout. Hi, Jess.
Hi, Kate.
I'm glad we're here together.
I know this is the first time that we've recorded.
I'm in like a
and-
really good mood. today.
You are.
Yeah. Are you?
Hey, did you get a new wedding ring?
After I got robbed, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's
Um,
pretty.
This is my wedding ring now.
Love it.
Thanks.
I'm so excited to talk about what we're going to talk about today.
I'm like excited and nervous.
Well, yes, I should say. Well, okay. What are we talking about today?
So today we're talking about consent in drinking.
Yes.
And not really sobriety, but it's sort of that gray area of, was that risky behavior? Was I taken advantage of?
Was I raped?
Was I raped? What was my role in this because I may have had too much to drink? So it's just like a whole thing that we've talked about amongst ourselves to unpack, but
We haven't touched the subject on the podcast,
no.
really.
And we have to give shout out to Millie because she is the one that kind of brought up the idea of consent when we had spoken with her,
Mhm.
when we interviewed her, and we were like, yeah, that's true. Like we really haven't gone into this as a concept. And
Yeah.
then recently we both watched
The best movie.
the best movie about it. Probably not the best movie about it, but one of the best movies that I've ever seen that does a great job of illustrating sort of the same concept.
Mhm.
So
Promising Young Woman
Promising Young Woman.
with Carey Mulligan. It's so fucking good.
Okay, I just want to preface this right now. So if you are a person that has not seen this film, Promising Young Woman, we are going to be talking about spoilers. So stop listening now, go watch the movie, and then come back and let us know your thoughts in the comments because we can't stop talking about it amongst ourselves.
I've watched it twice already.
Same. TJ,
did too?
TJ and I both watched it twice.
TJ watched it too.
Yeah, he watched
Oh.
it when we had our watch party, and
Uh-huh.
then he watched it again. The next day we were like, I think we need to see that again. So we
That's
did
awesome.
it
Yeah,
again.
I wanted to watch it again before we recorded this, but also I just wanted to watch it again.
Mhm. So
It's very aesthetically pleasing. Her hair is such fucking goals in that. She's got the best clothes, but that's not really what this is about.
I mean, I think it's important to talk about those because I was talking about this with Ellen, like how her fashion plays a role sort of in the themes of the movie where she's dressing kind of like a little girl sometimes. And it's like, is she stuck frozen at that
In
time
time.
part with her friend? So anyway, okay, I'm going to read what Rotten Tomatoes says, just sort of is the broad themes of this film. So it came out on January 25th. You can stream it on different platforms. I think I streamed it on Amazon and paid
Fandango now.
$20 for it.
Yes,
So,
$20.
it got 91% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, did it?
Yes. And the description is this: nothing in Cassie's life is what it appears to be. She's wickedly smart, tantalizingly cunning, and she's living a secret double life by night. Now, an unexpected encounter is about to give Cassie a chance to right the wrongs from the past. That gives zero information about what this is really about. How would you
Yes.
summarize this movie?
I would summarize it as a girl avenging her friends, something that happened to her friend.
Her friend's sexual assault.
Yes.
So yeah, spoilers, triggers, all the alerts.
Great soundtrack too.
I would say that I thought it was going to be scary.
Me too. The coming attraction, the way they cut it,
Mhm.
what the trailer was, it looked like a horror movie.
Mhm.
Like the music that they played, it's not a horror movie at all.
No.
It's actually like there's a lot of comedy in it. I mean, dark humor.
Yeah.
But
There is no actual
it's not scary.
sexual violence. I mean, there's
No.
those tricky situations
Sure.
that she sort of does at when she's doing her thing at night.
Yeah.
But like other than like the main event that happens at the end, which is violence, but
Mhm.
there's
It's
no
not.
there's no rape scene, which I never enjoy those types of movies. Like
Okay.
Girl with the Dragon Tattoo was like
Mhm.
extremely difficult for me to watch.
Oh, okay.
Because those are so graphic and so explicit.
Yeah, it's interesting that they managed to make a movie about rape
Mm-hmm.
and not actually have any rape scenes in it.
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that she was going to be murdering all these people.
Me too.
Um,
And avenging that way.
yes,
Yeah.
and that is not the case. Again, I would say we don't want to give too many spoilers,
Mhm.
but you did say don't listen to this. But regardless, basically, Cassie goes like, is it like every night or something?
Seems like she goes once a week.
Okay. She like goes out and pretends to be shit faced.
Super hammered.
Yeah. And she dresses up different ways too, like the type of guy she's trying to attract, right? So
Well,
like
I
a
feel
business.
like she's going into different environments. I don't think that she's particularly trying to snatch a dude. Like, in fact, I feel like it's sort of the opposite. Like
Right.
she's just sort of playing to the environment that she's going to. So it seemed
Yeah.
like the opening scene one where she's kind of in business attire seemed like a more upscale happy hour place versus like where she's later on when she has the long amazing ponytail. Like that
Mhm.
seemed like more of a club. So it seems like she's
Sure.
dressing for her environment a little bit.
Right.
But
That makes sense. Yeah. So she just basically, pretends to be blackout wasted.
all the telltale signs, like she's dropping her phone, she's stumbling
Mhm.
around, she's alone. So it's like that point where your friends leave you, or you've left your friends and
we've
gone to a
all
different bar by yourself,
done
and it's
that.
sort of that sad drunk part of the night where you're like super drunk and you still don't really want to go home yet, and you're clearly blacked out, very disoriented, and it's essentially that nice guy that comes up and is like, "Oh my god, are you okay? Let's get
Mhm.
you a cab. Oh, your phone's dead.
Yeah,
I'll call you an Uber." And so cut to like,
Actually, I live right over here. Like, let's
Mhm.
go to my place.
you can sleep on my couch,
Yeah.
like, that whole thing. And then it seems like cuts to like their apartments, and where she's very clearly not consenting to anything. She's very
Yes.
clearly disoriented. She's very clearly intoxicated. And there's a little switch that happens in all of them where it's like they go from getting her a glass of water to like
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden kissing her.
Yes. Yes.
That I think was the film did a very good job on that like switch.
Hang on a second. Nat, have you watched this movie? You've not watched it?
Yeah, you don't
Shit.
have
Okay. Sorry. So everyone, sorry for spoiling it,
We're
including Nat.
spoiling this for Nat too. Yeah. Sorry. We're
But-
getting into it though.
Yeah. Right, exactly. Like, especially with the first guy, I think it was like Adam Brody or
Mhm.
something. I was like, oh, he's being really sweet. Like, he, like it seemed sincere. And then, right, like he's like, well, actually, like I live right over here. You want to like
Mhm.
come in? And
As soon as
she's
he
just
said
like-
that in the cab, I'm like, no.
I know. And the good thing is, she even was like, like she like also
she
kind of
says no, kind
Yeah.
of,
but she goes along with it, and then and then you think that she pretends to pass out, and then things happen.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden she snaps and she's
like,
sober,
"I
stone cold
said,
sober. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Right.
And then they all get like freaked out and shit.
I don't think we're spoiling anything yet. This is all in the trailer.
Okay,
So
good.
basically,
We won't give away the ending.
right. So the entire film kind of explores all of the different perspectives of a girl who wasn't with her best friend when there was a major sexual assault that happened when they were in school together. So the movie walks through how Cassie, the main character, is stuck sort of because she feels terrible guilt that she wasn't with her friend to
Mhm.
protect her from this happening. Cut to other friends of theirs who are sort of in denial about what
Yeah.
really happened.
Or they're just,
Complicit.
complicit. They just do the whole like, well, it wasn't me. I
Yeah,
didn't do it.
she was
type
drunk.
thing. She was drunk. Like, what do you expect?
Right.
I think Allison Brie's character says something like, well, I'm sorry I didn't believe her, but
She
what
was
do you
drunk all the
expect?
time.
She was sleeping around all the time. What do you
Mhm.
expect? It's like, even if you are sleeping around all the time,
Right.
that's consent. If that's consensual,
Yes.
it doesn't make it
Totally.
okay for you to be raped. So I just love this movie so much.
Yeah,
don't
I thought
know.
the scene with the dean of the school was very powerful
Ugh.
too, because she was like,
So good.
I think this is also in the trailer, so we're not super spoiling
yeah,
anything.
Connie
but she
Britton
was,
plays a dean.
yeah, and Cassie's character makes an appointment to go visit the dean and sort of say, like, do you remember what happened when this
To my friend.
to my friend? And of course she doesn't remember, but she remembers the young man,
The boy,
because
yeah.
she was like, oh, that poor boy was put through all of this stuff.
Yeah, she's like, what was that? Just supposed to ruin his life based on an
Mhm.
allegation,
Mm-hmm.
and it
just brought me to like Brock Turner. It brought me to like Brett Kavanaugh. It like totally snaps you right in the moment of like, oh, we've
Bill
now somehow
Cosby,
ruined this guy's life.
Weinstein.
Yes.
Fucking all of them.
All the Me Too's, Me
Mhm.
Toods,
Me Too dudes.
Yeah.
But it got me thinking too, like, okay, well, I was already thinking about this. We've already had conversations, but what if you're blackout wasted?
I have been, yes.
Yeah.
When I was blackout wasted, yes.
And then you like are having sex with, like, even if you say you do consent, which how do you consent when you're not in your right, frame of mind? I know it's not black and white. I know it's a gray area. We're not going to like leave this conversation with any answers. I
Sure.
just think it's a conversation that should be had.
I think for me, the film hit home in a lot of ways because I went through a phase in my early to mid 20s where I was going out and having like extremely risky behavior on a regular basis. And there were a few things that like I didn't even really unpack until we started the podcast, that like I had a one night stand I was telling you about, where I woke up to this is uncomfortable for me to share, so everybody just sort of bear with me. Woke up to that person having sex with me, and was like, you're hungover, you're still drunk, you're fuzzy. Like I didn't really, whatever, like cut to he leaves, and I was with my roommates, and I was just like, yeah, this happened. And luckily one of my roommates' boyfriends was normal enough to be like, that's not okay, because I just was confused. I was like, did I say yes and not remember this morning? I just kind of thought that it was my fault, because he was already in my bed. I had already let him into my room. Like it just seemed like consent was sort of non-verbally given. And he sort of was like, no, that's not okay.
Yeah.
So I've sort of carried that with me until we were unpacking other risky behavior situations. And I'm like, yeah, in hindsight, now my older self is like 100% no, that wasn't okay. But what do you do? I don't know.
Well, I mean, I know this has happened so many times, right? It's even if you consent, let's just say you're drunk and you consent, and then you pass out and pass out, he should stop.
Yeah, they should stop. Anyone.
They should, they should stop, because then this person is clearly not an unconscious person, cannot give consent. And so it's just, it's very frustrating. And like, there's so many times that I felt like, I mean, I really didn't sleep around. Like I've never it's just not my thing. But there was like a couple of times, where I'm like, I don't know how this happened. And that's not okay. Like, you saw that, like, for example, I dated this person for like a hot second and I don't remember anything. He didn't do cocaine, but I remember he like brought Coke for me. And it's like, what? I don't know. Like I was
that guy in the movie also.
Yeah. It's like, right. I was brought home. Like my friend took me out of the bar and drove my car and me home because I was too drunk to be out. So why? Couple hours later, did this person think that it was okay to have sex with me? And then I found out later on that he like told details to people. And I just think it's fucking weird. I don't know, because
I just feel like society makes again, it's our responsibility. It's our fault.
I felt like
it's your fault because you were drunk.
No, and then it's like, no, that shouldn't have happened. And even my ex boyfriend, like he's like, when I found out that was the night that like that happened, I was like disgusted. Like you were in no shape to be doing anything with anybody. And he's like, and he knew that. So, cause it's like, they're always like, I mean, not always, but chances are they're often more sober and know what they're doing. I'm just so sick and tired of like the dean in the movie, like blaming the girl for putting herself in that situation. It's like, let's teach guys not to rape. Let's teach them when a girl is unconscious, you don't take advantage of that. And then it's like, okay, is it rape? Is it taking advantage? Is it like, I don't know, but it's not okay. I mean, you definitely were violated.
No, it's not okay.
You know?
I just feel like I don't know where along the lines it became our problem to navigate the situation and to like carry the burden. Cause like,
and like when people are like, oh, well, there's no proof, but it's like, how would there be proof for them, for the majority of assaults? Like, how do you expect me to go back in time and like set up my phone when I'm wasted, saying like being passed out while someone's like having sex with my like.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also like I had too much to drink one night when I was early on when I had met TJ, and I was like trying to get physical with him, and he was just like, no,
sexual,
you're like
or
sexually.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like trying to you know, romance him, I guess. And he was just like, you were fucking hammered. It was like not fun.
Yeah.
It was like I was not into it because I just knew like you were not all there. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know what the difference is between somebody that is looking for somebody that's not all there versus somebody that's like turned like for
Why do
me
some people-
personally,
yeah.
the correct response is if someone is unresponsive to me, I am not horny. You
Right.
know, I don't know why that's different for people, and more often than not men. I don't know why that seems to still not be a stop sign, because I'm not into it if like the person that I'm trying to be intimate with is
Not
completely
responsive, yeah.
not responsive, and or even if they are responsive and they're not into it, I'm not into it then either.
Yeah. It's basically at that point like fucking a corpse.
Right.
A warm
And I don't
corpse,
know if that's
guess,
like,
but
I think the movie did such a good job of showing that nice guy vibe though, of the
Yeah,
guys
I
that
like
sort of
that.
sleuth in and take
Mhm.
advantage of the situation. It's not overtly
and they're always
it's not
saying,
overtly
I'm
rape.
a nice guy. I'm a nice
Yes.
guy. She's like, you'd be surprised how many nice guys say that.
Like nice creeps waiting to scoop people up at
I
the end of the
know.
night.
Even if they're not like intending to
Mhm.
scoop someone up at the end of the night, it's like they still go through with it.
Right.
Like you don't, it's just so
But
weird.
like you saw that happen though as a bartender, didn't you? You saw the girl that was hammered, and then like, you know, a guy will sit by her.
Honestly, nothing comes to mind. There's been times I can't remember. I can't remember like the actual situation, but I remember basically babysitting a girl.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no,
Mhm.
leave her alone. No.
Right.
Hey, Kate, what is the number one sober tool that we always recommend?
Therapy.
Therapy. And we have recently partnered with BetterHelp. Do you want to tell everyone what that's about?
So BetterHelp is an online mental health platform. Basically what it is, it's an app that you get access to therapists. So you take their short quiz, they match you with somebody in your area, and it's affordable private counseling for individuals and couples anytime, anywhere. You don't even have to leave your house. You don't even have to wear hard pants.
That is amazing.
And what are we giving our listeners?
10% off. Just go to betterhelp.com/seltzer squad.
Jess, are you listening to any good books?
Right now, I'm actually listening to an Audible exclusive podcast.
Ooh. I'm listening to Blackout by Sarah Hepola.
Oh, I listened to that one back in the day.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm a huge proponent of Audible. I love listening to Quit Lit or really any book. But did you know, Squad, that you can use our discount code to get a free month of Audible? Meaning you get a free book if you sign up.
That's right. Just go to audibletrial.com/seltzer squad and get a free month on us. I actually just signed up myself using it.
I saw this show, I don't know if it was like 2020 or like one of those hidden camera shows where they were at a bar and they had hidden cameras and these two boys were like actors and they, the girl was an actor too. It was to see like bystanders things.
Oh, yeah.
So she was in on it, and then so she's like sitting down having a glass of wine by herself. Two guys come over, they're starting to talk to her. She's like, oh yeah, okay. She gets up to go to the bathroom, and then the guys sprinkle something in her drink.
Oh, the other actors.
Yes,
Okay, got it.
these three people are in on it.
Got it.
And then it's just to see like how the other people at the bar react, because they always make sure that someone's like watching.
Sure.
And there was like an older couple, like man and wife. They say nothing. They're like looking at each other, talking about it. The young girl who's like in college, she's like, hey girl, I think you're in my class. Like, come over and sit. Like, she obviously made that up. Come sit with us. Like, which was awesome. And then there was one guy who was like, I don't know, like mid 40s, 50s, whatever. And he was like, get the fuck, like get away. He like stood in front of the door because he like called the cops. Like, I'm not letting you leave. And he was like, I have a daughter. And it's sad that like every time that a guy would do that, he'd be like, I have a daughter. It's like, you shouldn't have to have a fucking daughter to like know that that's not okay. But point is, it's interesting to see like the people that were just like, I'm not getting involved in that. And then like, and the woman, so like the host comes out, was like, how come you didn't say anything, And the lady's like, oh, I don't know, that happened to me when I was young, and it's like, so then why, especially why wouldn't you?
Yeah, that's like fuck you culture. Like, thanks. Yeah. This is why we're in this mess in the first place.
But it was always like the young girls that like 20 something year olds like, hey, like, no, like a woman was like, get away from her. No, he put something in your drink. It was very interesting to watch. But as like a society, we don't.
That's difficult because we live in a city where you see many people in like intoxicated, especially like in New York City, because no one's really driving. So I feel like what's the line? This is hypothetical, but like, what's the line that you toe where you insert yourself versus do you be that girl that's like, hey girl, remember me from chemistry? And then be like, are you okay? Or do you know what's going on? Or do you like, because the adverse reaction can be like, I'm fine. Like, which I've also been that person where I'm like, I'm totally blacked out and being like, I'm fine.
Not even drunk.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about?
I don't know if there is an answer to that question, but like, what's the line that you toe for?
I don't know.
Such a gray area thing.
Mm-hmm. And you can't help someone that doesn't want to be helped, obviously, like you're saying, but it's worth trying. But I'm an asshole, so I would typically, if she was like, no, I would probably yell at the dudes. I'd be like, get the fuck away from her. Like, you're a fucking like perv, like leave her alone.
The other thing that was surprising yet not surprising though, was when she went to the lawyer and he was like, yeah, we had whole teams combing through these girls' social medias.
Like, all you had to do is find one drunk photo to use against a girl to debunk
and
her
they got like bonuses based on how many people they could get acquitted. And so I think that that's probably a much more insidious and unspoken part of this whole process.
Do you think that happened? That's got to happen, right?
100%. I'm sure they have like total interns,
fucking. I know when he said that, it's like, I would have never have thought that,
Well, again, it makes me think back to the Brock Turner case where, they
sickening.
basically just also slandered that woman to paint her out to be like, yeah, just because I was drinking in college doesn't mean I wanted to get raped.
Mm-hmm. So when I was assaulted by an Uber driver that time, or Lyft driver, it doesn't fucking matter. And I actually had driven to the bar, took an Uber home, trying to be responsible, got assaulted by this driver. And I went to the cops the next day and he was like, well, were you drinking? And I was like, yeah, I was. That's why I took a car home. And then he's like, okay, well, like, were you maybe like flirting with him? And I'm like, no.
My Uber driver? No.
Like, no, I wasn't.
Yeah.
And he just, it was so infuriating. But I was hungover, and this was again like years ago before I like found my fucking voice. If this happened, I'd be like, "Are you fucking kidding me?"
Like, excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
What's your badge number? Like,
yeah. Is there a fucking woman here? Oh, I would have been so pissed. But then it was funny because then I ended up having to go to a different police station anyway because of the jurisdiction. But and they were so different. They were like, this guy's a creep. Like, fuck. Like, they did not shame me like that at all.
Oh, wow. Okay.
It's just interesting how like you get.
You're like, where's the daddy cop? I need the daddy cop around
here. Who has a daughter?
Yeah.
Anyone here have a daughter?
I had hold on, I lost my train of thought. Oh. So I was on a business trip and we were talking about Uber around the table, and we were just talking about like what constitutes like a 5-star ride. And I was like, literally anyone that doesn't rape me gets 5 stars and delivers me to the fucking location. And the guy was like, really? And I was like, yeah, that's the barometer for women, is like, don't fucking kill me, please. Don't kill me or rape me. Like, I think also they said in the movie, like, he was like,
that, yes.
What did he say?
I was going to wait. Yeah, I was going to wait. Okay. I don't remember, but she said something to him about
he said something was my worst fear.
Yes, he's like being accused of that is every dude's worst fear. And she goes, guess what a woman's is? Yes. And I was like, oh, and Cameron, that was the trailer.
Yes.
Oh, it was so good. Cameron was like clapping.
Yeah. I say that to TJ all the time. I'm like, you don't understand how much of my day is spent, how much not getting killed and raped lives rent free in my head every day. Like every decision that we make is like, do I walk in the middle of the street? Have your fucking keys. Like, I mean, there's so many TikToks that I follow where it's like, if you're a woman, like leave men's shoes on the porch if you live alone, like put 2 chairs instead of 1 chair. It's like all these things that we have to do to just like keep predators at bay.
I mean, that conversation that me and Brenny had that time when we were talking about, we were eating pizza at Romano's, and we were talking about how, if you park next to a van, like if you park next to a van, like get in on the other side of the car, and if there's like someone leaves something on your windshield, drive before you take it off. And how like her husband, whatever, fiance and teacher were like, what? And you're like, yeah, you don't have to think like that. No. Like that would never cross our minds. Like, no, this is how we have to think.
Yes.
Because we're constantly like prey.
Yeah. You have to constantly be aware that like something physically stronger than me could literally hold me down and kill me, or
take what they want.
Yeah. Take what they want from me. And I physically can't fight them off. So yeah, I think that's just just such a fucked up anecdote about having to be female. I mean, it happens to men as well. And it's unfortunately like such an insidious part of our culture, but
it often happens with alcohol involved. And as soon as alcohol is introduced, or you admit to drinking, you're immediately not believed. You're lying. You're like exaggerating. You wanted it. You led them on. And I don't understand why that's a fucking thing. How if she drank, so free for all rape. It's fine.
Right.
It just doesn't make any sense.
I mean, I remember in high school there was something that happened with people that were not in my grade, but it was like one of those things that like went all the way around the school where 2 people supposedly were at a party, had sex, and then the next day she regretted it and said, this is what I hear. Okay. She regretted it, and so then said it was sexual assault. And so there was a whole thing about and like ruining this boy's life. And at the time, I mean, I didn't really process any of it because I was just like not my deal. But I think as this continues to come up in our lives in society, especially as drinking culture is ever more pervasive, like I just wish that we had the language to say, like, what do you say when, you woke up and you regretted it? Is that called something?
I think just regretting it.
But is that sexual assault? Like, I don't know the ramifications of.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's exactly. It's like, well, there are times I'm sure that people, if you remember it a little bit, right? If you're complicit, if you're like, personally, yes, I
do agree that it can be difficult for the other party to identify if you're interested and not interested. Being conscious and unconscious is obviously not the same thing. But I think growing up in sex ed and even in like our birds and the bees conversation, we don't ever talk about like how to ask if it's okay. How to ask if it's okay when things seem not okay, or what if something changes? Like, were you ever taught like make sure that he's asking you for consent, or make sure that you're saying it's okay, and if it's not okay, here's what you say. Like, I was never taught that stuff.
No, I don't think they teach us.
Don't let a stranger touch your pee-pee. Was like what we get taught.
Yeah, that's your privates. Yeah, no. So like the first time that
was it on Predators. Yeah. That was my whole understanding.
The first time that Cam and I ever had sex. Again, it was my first time having sober sex. We were like, making out, whatever. And I guess I like probably took her shirt off or something. And she was like, are we doing this? And I was like, are we not? And she's like, I don't know, like consent. I'm like, I was like, I consent. Like, but it's good that she like,
identified that was a thing.
It's silly, but it's like also something that you can joke about. Yes. But like later, because it's who cares if you just feel silly for like 1 second saying, is this cool? Like, we're going to do this?
Yeah.
Like,
is this okay?
Just confirm. Yeah.
Is this okay?
Yeah. Just get that green light.
But I think like it's a weirder conversation if
she is wasted.
If she or the other, the other person is wasted, to be like, are you sure? Are you sure this is okay? Like, I don't know what the language is, and I don't know how we integrate that into like education, because we can't expect a whole cultural shift to happen because we've never given these people the tools to communicate efficiently. And then we condemn both sides of it. Like, guys get fucked over in the situation, girls get fucked over in the situation. Obviously, girls deal with the emotional victim deals with the emotional ramifications internally, externally. The perpetrator deals with like the exterior, reputational.
Is that a word?
I don't know.
We made it up.
Consequences of what happens. But, I think consent, I think about it with my nieces, like, you know, one's going to be 10. I have nieces all the way up to 21 years old. You know, how are they navigating these more difficult conversations and also navigating like their experiences with substances because they're happening simultaneously?
Yeah. It's just like, obviously, like we said, if you're passed out, obviously, like that's not okay.
Sure.
If you pass out during sex, like maybe the person should stop having sex with you, because like, again, like you said, how is that even enjoyable? You can like jerk off like to finish yourself off if like coming is that fucking important. No, seriously.
Yeah.
But like it is a little tricky though when you're like blacked out. But that's the thing, is like if I'm blacked out, like
I was pretending to be into it then, and like
you might not have. You'll never fucking know. And that's the problem. But I feel like when you are blackout wasted, you're not really with it.
Totally.
What person that's blacked out that you've met is like got their shit together enough to be consenting to anything?
I mean, I think part of for my experience was that me getting blackout drunk was kind of the only way I could be intimate with people, because I needed to like numb so much of myself to like get to that level. So I think that that's also something entirely different to unpack.
I get, because I'm,
you know what I mean?
similar.
Like I had to get like physically super blasted in order to like go home with random strangers and hate myself that much.
Okay. So
that was kind of the goal.
But what is your goal? To go have sex with someone?
If they wanted to do it, I felt like I was DTF because I just wanted to be liked, which again is like,
it's a whole other,
right.
Yeah. But you did want to have sex, I guess.
I think I just wanted to be liked.
Yeah, well.
And I think I was willing to do whatever X person wanted to do to show, just to like show that I was down for anything, which of course is like, I now value myself much more and have unpacked a lot of that. But that's the honest answer, is that I was.
No, I get that.
I was so anxious about them liking me that I would drink too much so that I wouldn't have to feel the anxiety of it. And then if we sloppily went to his place, I had no problem. Then it was just sort of like in your mind, I think you have that like, well, I'm going there, so this is going to happen.
I guess like you said earlier, it's like that gray area. Like, when does it go from being like, I regret that I kind of shouldn't have done that, to he shouldn't have done that?
But it's also, I think every guy now is afraid to get Me Too'd. And I think that's a good thing, because even if
that is a good thing,
if that's the language you're using is like, are you going to Me Too me? I'm like, if that's you asking for fucking consent, then we're talking about it at least. So it's like, I don't know, are you going to rape me?
Right.
Like,
exactly.
You know, I don't know how you.
It's a tricky
That's still
topic.
At least talking about it, you know, like I think that men having the fear of being Me Too'd is very good and very healthy and a step in the right direction. I think that
but it shouldn't be a fear of being Me Too'd. It should be a fear of like
hurting someone.
Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
But again, this is a thing that we didn't really talk about for quite some time, and now we do. And
I mean, the movie is not a feel good movie, but it's just so
great.
good.
But it's not like a like, I mean, I shouldn't say. I mean, right.
It's
like,
a thriller for sure.
It's a thriller. It's got everything, guys.
There's highs, there's lows, there's
great soundtrack, like a whole montage to Paris Hilton's Stars Are Blind. Like, fuck me up, fam. Toxic. They like instrumental Toxic.
So good.
Oh, so good.
We've been singing we've been like making the instrumental version of Toxic all week in our house.
Nice. But go see this movie. And by go see, I mean sit on your couch and order on like Amazon or whatever it is. I think it's on Amazon too. And then like in the comments or whatever, like I want to know everyone else's thoughts too. We know this is a controversial issue. Don't fight.
We probably got a lot of things wrong.
Yeah, we're just trying to hang out.
I said to Jess before we recorded it, because I think we've both sort of been tiptoeing around this subject for a while, but the movie kind of helped us put it together a little bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, is there a point to this episode? And she was like, I don't think that there is. And I'm like, I don't think that there is either, because there's no solution.
Not a point. There's no solution.
Yeah, there's no bookend to this convo. It's just sort of.
It's just a conversation that we need to be having so that you know, in 20 or 10 years, people aren't having the same conversation. Like gets sorted out or
And I think
whatever.
it's another dimension of insidious shame and addiction that keeps people
Yes.
feeling isolated.
That's-
Because it's like, if I share
Mhm.
my story with you, you have a story just like Hot Mess. It's like,
Mhm.
obviously these are on the other, these aren't funny stories.
Right.
These are the more shamey stories, but
But
we
there's like,
aren't alone.
and that's the thing is like, oftentimes like women, we're the ones who carry all the shame. And it's like, wait, but no, you were assaulted. Like
Mhm.
there's a difference.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's there's no easy answer, but
There is no
yeah.
easy answer, but
Just
we
go
wanted to
watch
talk
it.
about it. Go watch the movie.
Promising Young Woman starring Carey Mulligan. Let us know your thoughts, and until we meet again,
Be nice to yourself.
don't forget, hangovers suck.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Every review helps other listeners find us. Music by Dead Go West. Art by Kate Sander. For show notes and resources, check out seltzersquad.com.